Kirby is a franchise I have a lot of respect for. There's something about his games that just let me vibe for a minute and feel cozy. A good Kirby game is like a warm blanket in the middle of winter. It just hits the spot. I have played plenty of Kirby games, but I haven't played them all of them if I wanted to be more specific. So I wanted to rectify that by playing the games I haven't played while also talking about the games I have played as well. So let's begin with Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy. HAL Laboratory started back in the 80s with various games, with some being published by Nintendo, examples being Pinball and Golf. However, they were put in an endless cycle. The game would be rushed and in various states of unfinished, which would lead to poor sales, and the cycle would then repeat. Despite all the hardships they were facing at the time, they still wanted to make games, and Nintendo were more than happy to help HAL with marketing and sales. This, in the end, is why Kirby was made, to help HAL out of the nightmare they were forced into, and let's see how they ended this nightmare. Visually, Kirby's Dream Land is a Game Boy game with the monochromatic color scheme that the Game Boy is known for. I personally have a bit of nostalgia with Game Boy graphics thanks to Pokemon Blue, but most Game Boy titles don't really take advantage of the stage such design most of the time, and some of the best looking games on the system take advantage of the hardware and make something you can mistake as a compressed console game, which is something I think Kirby's Dream Land does well. The sprite work is pretty simple overall on Kirby, since he is basically a round ball with stubby arms and feet, adorable. But the environmental design is something else, with the team seemingly knowing how to make a system with very few colors make environments look well detailed with the shade choices. And I would argue that Kirby's Dream Land is rivaled with Super Mario Land 2 for the best looking Game Boy game, though this opinion may change when I get to Dream Land 2. The soundtrack is also something I think needs to be said. I said this before and I will say it again, when it comes to 8 to 16-bit consoles, I am not a fan of the overall sound or music it makes, with some exceptions. But I think Kirby's Dream Land is now one of the exceptions. The soundtrack overall has this upbeat feel to it that just makes it fun to go through all 5 levels. Have a listen. Kirby controls how you expect him to if you played a Kirby game up to this point. He can walk and jump, though to make it more unique than Mario, they gave him 2 abilities that make it uniquely Kirby: flying and inhaling. Flying is a little different in this game compared to the other games where you need to jump and hold up on the D-pad to fly instead of mashing the A button. It is a little weird at first, but after a while you get used to it. Now, inhaling is the same as you expect it to be if you played a Kirby game before, where you inhale an enemy and you swallow. Since this is the first game, there are no copy abilities, but inhaling is the only way to damage bosses, so I think it's not that bad. There are power-ups, but they last a few seconds and they either blow air or blow fire. I should also mention that Kirby doesn't run in this game, but other than those things, it still plays as a Kirby game. The level design of Kirby's Dream Land is very simple overall. You have 5 levels in this game. They are basically linear hallways with a meal and or 1-up in between, while fighting the cute looking enemies. That's really about it. No secrets or anything hidden in the levels, just a straightforward platformer. Bosses in this game are overall simple. Your fight with Whipsy Wood is easy, your fight with the Lololo and La 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 are simple, Kabula can be a little unpredictable, and Krako is simple. It's at the boss rush where they shake it up a bit and make the fights a little more interesting, with Wispy Wood spitting air at you and Kabula dashing towards you diagonally. Fighting against Diddy can also be a little unpredictable, but overall fun. Overall, I would say that Kirby's Dream Land is an impressive gameplay title with some gorgeous sprite work, a nice sounding soundtrack, surprisingly detailed level transitions, a feel-good platformer with a bit of an edge if you don't know what you're doing. This title would top Famitsu sales charts for a month, sell 1 million copies in a year, and eventually sell about 5 million copies. Overall though, it was Sakurai who directed the game. I think a decent bit of the share of the credit for its success should rightfully go to Iwata, who wanted it to be in a finished and polished state before it went out to be sold to the masses. It was safe to say at this point that the endless cycle that HAL was stuck in was broken under the leadership of Iwata, who became the newly appointed president. HAL made it their mission to have every one of their games sell at least 1 million copies in hopes to pay back back the 1.5 billion yen they borrowed for production costs. They were on their last legs. Naturally, how was it going to let this newfound success go to waste?